Forgive me if I seem a little excited right now, but I am fucking excited. I am in the middle of Kansas driving to go to a museum where they have Gus Grissom's Liberty Bell 7 capsule, among other things that I will show you. But the reason I am going here is to see this capsule. If you're wondering what the heck I am talking about, you're probably, well, up on space, history, Mercury, Apollo, all that kind of stuff, or you have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, I've been asking all my co-pilot first officers for the last few days if they've ever heard of Gus Grissom, Mercury, or any of that, and they don't know what I am talking about.
All right, he's okay. He's okay. Go for the capsule.
I'm sneaking! Hey! Damn it!
Get the capsule. He can float in that spacesuit. You gotta have the data on the capsule. Capsule!
I thrown out a lot of it! Help! Put out a lot of here! Hey! I'm sneaking!
They've never heard of, some of them, John Glenn. That's kind of, you know, embarrassing. Alan Shepard, Gus Grissom. Don't get me started that these guys don't know these names. But anyways, Liberty Bell 7 is the capsule that sunk when Gus Grissom's hatch blew, whether or not it was his fault or not.
The hatch just blew! It was a glitch! It was a technical malfunction!
That capsule sank to the bottom of the ocean and sat there for something like 30 years. I don't know the number, but Discovery Channel went and rescued it, pulled it out of the water underneath 15,000 feet of ocean water and restored it. Took the whole thing apart, 25,000 pieces, restored every bit and piece and put it back together. Now, if that's not cool, I don't know what is, okay? So I am going to check this thing out and see what they have at the Cosmosphere in Hutchinson, Kansas. That's what I'm doing right now. All right, I've made it. I've flown halfway across the country and driven out into the middle of Kansas, and I want to find out if he blew the hatch or not. What do you guys think? Do you think he blew the hatch, or do you think it just blew? Let's go find out. So I just wanted to go buy my ticket and I realized, wait a minute, I've got an EAA lifetime membership. With that, you get access to a whole bunch of museums. I wonder if this is one of the museums. So I asked the nice girl at the counter, I said, hey, is this one of the museums? And she said, oh yeah, ASTC. Anyways, I looked it up and sure enough, my EAA membership got me in for free. How awesome is that? So now I'm gonna go check out the museum. Apparently it's in the basement, which I wasn't really expecting. So I'm gonna go around the corner and yeah, go check it out. So as I'm making my way down into the basement to see this museum, the first thing I notice is they have a Bell X-1 sitting here on display. If you don't know, this is the aircraft that was first used to break the sound barrier. Chuck Yeager was the first pilot to accomplish that feat in 1947. And it was, until then, a very mysterious thing. So NASA, or the predecessor for NASA, worked with the Air Force and test pilots to use this aircraft right here to exceed Mach 1. Now, this isn't a real LX-1. This is a prop that was actually used in the movie The Right Stuff, one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time. If you want to know what the other top favorite movies of all time are, well, please comment below and ask me. But yeah, let's check this out real quick. Okay, I don't really know where to start here. It's kind of a choose your own adventure type of place, but they're definitely talking about the space race and the early days of what led us into that whole era. So I'm gonna start looking at some of these exhibits. They've got stuff on the X-planes, they've got stuff on early rocket motors, they've got stuff on early German V2 rockets, they've got stuff on the X-15. I'm gonna work my way through here a little bit. I'm not gonna go into detail on every little thing that I see here. I am looking for a few things in particular. And once I find them, I'll try to highlight that and show you a little bit along the way. Okay, quick sidebar. I'm here just going through the gallery, and I found they have a SpaceX Merlin engine. Now this brings back memories for me because I actually used to work on these things when I was at SpaceX. And I can't get any closer than I am right now because there's glass right here. But looking inside this thing, it reminds me of a day where I had to replace a V-band clamp. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's basically just a clamp that goes around a big tube. You can see one right there. That's kind of an example. But anyways, there was like a service bulletin or an AD or equivalent, something like an airworthiness directive, something that came out from engineering and said, hey, this part isn't good, we need to replace it, and we need you to go inside the rocket engine and fix it before we can ship this thing out. I was up inside somewhere in the middle of one of these engines, and there was something like 4 bolts that I had to replace, and it was so hard to get to. And it wasn't just replacing the 4 bolts, it was taking the old clamp off, putting the new clamp on, putting the new bolts in there, torquing it and safety wiring it. Those 4 bolts inside this engine, just because of the way it was situated in the rocket and the access, took me 10 hours. It took me my entire 10-hour shift to replace 1 clamp with 4 bolts inside this engine. I'll never forget that. That's pretty cool. Merlin, 1 rocket, SpaceX. If you guys want to know more, feel free to reach out or ask questions or comment below. Okay, I think we're onto something here. We're starting to get into human space flight. And I think I see the Liberty Bell 7. I can't contain my excitement. Let's go check this thing out. Project Mercury. Sure enough, there it is, sitting behind it. And there they are, the Mercury 7 astronauts. Top to left, Alan Shepard, Gus Grissom, Gordon Cooper, Wally Schirra, Deke Slayton, John Glenn, and Scott Carpenter. Those are the original 7 astronauts chosen by NASA to go into space. So here it is, Liberty Bell 7. This was actually the one that Gus Grissom flew in and sank to the bottom of the ocean. Let's see if we can find out more, figure out why this hatch blew, and if he blew it or if it was just a malfunction. Again, what do you guys think? Okay, so the Liberty Bell 7 mission was by the book until splashdown, when the explosive-powered hatch jettisoned prematurely, flooding the spacecraft and Grissom's spacesuit. Grissom scrambled out of the spacecraft and nearly drowned in the heavy seas. With the spacecraft full of water, the weight was too much for the recovery helicopter. Liberty Bell 7 was released, and the spacecraft sank nearly 3 miles to the bottom of the Atlantic. A deep-sea salvage expedition funded by the Discovery Channel set out to recover the spacecraft on April 16, 1999. After days of meticulously exploring the 24-square-mile search area, 300 miles off the coast of Florida, with a side-scan sonar, the crew had mapped 88 potential targets. They narrowed down their search down to 18 targets on which they would dive with a remote-operated vehicle, outfitted with high-definition cameras. The first target they dove on was Liberty Bell 7. The spacecraft was recovered from the ocean floor and returned to Port Canaveral on July 21st, exactly 38 years after its flight into space. Upon its arrival in Hutchinson, the Liberty Bell 7 was continuously flushed with fresh water to begin the long process of cleaning the salt from the entire system. The meticulous 6-month restoration took place in a restoration exhibit area in the Cosmosphere's Hall of Space Museum in full view of the public. To ensure that all the salt and corrosive elements were removed from the spacecraft, every one of the approximately 25,000 parts was removed, disassembled, cleaned, and then put back together. The goal of the project was not to make the spacecraft look brand new, but to clean and preserve it so that it would be available for generations to come.
While NASA initially speculated he blew it accidentally, later evidence showed the hatch likely triggered due to an electrical fault or electrostatic discharge during recovery, rather than human error. Gus Grissom was effectively exonerated regarding the premature blowing of the Liberty Bell 7 hatch in 1961. The detonator required significant force to fire, which did not match Grissom's account of the incident. Astronaut Wally Schirra later found that blowing the hatch intentionally caused a bruise on the hand, which Grissom did not have. Historians and experts generally agree that the narrative accusing Grissom of panic, popularized by the movie The Right Stuff, is incorrect, and he did indeed act professionally. Despite the initial controversy, Grissom remained a trusted, top-tier astronaut, commanding the first Gemini flight and being selected to command the first Apollo mission.
Okay, here's the official synopsis. Liberty Bell 7 splashed down just 2 miles from recovery helicopters, which moved in quickly to retrieve the spacecraft. Inside, Gus Grissom unstrapped, logged switch positions and gauge readings before calling in the helicopters 4 minutes later. After removing the safety pin from the explosive hatch plunger, Grissom lay back to await pickup. Moments later, he heard a dull thud as the hatch blew open prematurely, flooding the spacecraft. Grissom escaped into the sea while a helicopter briefly lifted Liberty Bell 7 before the spacecraft sank back down. Grissom, struggling in the water, realized he'd forgotten to close the oxygen inlet valve on his suit, causing it to fill with water. Nearly submerged, he was rescued by a second helicopter lifeline. Meanwhile, Liberty Bell 7, now weighing 5,000 pounds due to water weight, overwhelmed the first helicopter. An engine warning light forced the pilot to cut the recovery hook, sending the spacecraft to the ocean floor 3 miles below. There it is, that's the official word on record. Gus was just sitting there waiting to be rescued. He pulled the plunger to arm the exploding hatch. He heard a loud thud. The hatch just blew. So he pulled himself out of the hatch, logged all the switch positions, gauge indications, forgot to close the valve on his suit. He started to sink. Capsule started to sink. Helicopter couldn't pull a 5,000 pound sinking capsule. They cut the cord, rescued Gus. Thing sat in the bottom of the ocean for 30 years. Discovery Channel went, pulled it to the surface. Museum, now known as the Cosmosphere, took it apart, cleaned it, put it back together, and here it is. If that's not cool, I don't know what it is. That's a pretty awesome story. So what do you guys think? Do you think it just blew? Do you think Gus screwed the pooch? Either way, doesn't matter. You know, it's history now, and these guys are still some of my all-time heroes. So yeah, let's go check out the rest of this place. Well, guys, this place is just overwhelming. There's way too much for me to go through and try to document and show you guys. I'm gonna take some pictures. I'm gonna try to show you some videos, but that's about it for what I'm highlighting today. So behind me, I've actually got a Vostok 1 rocket, and or not the rocket, but the spacecraft that actually went into orbit. Now, this one actually flew in 1980, but it's identical to the one that Yuri Gagarin flew as the first person to ever get into space. So some pictures, you know, I'll show you around the place, but you know, it's just overwhelming. It's too much for me. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think. Please comment below. Tell me how you feel about this kind of stuff, and share any inspiration or experience that you have with space or space history or any of that kind of stuff. As you can tell, I've got kind of an attachment to this stuff, so I get a little excited, so forgive me. But hey, thanks for watching. Check out some of the other videos, adventures, projects, and more. Click like if you enjoy this kind of stuff, and consider subscribing. See you guys on the next one. So before you go, make sure to check out the rest of the video. I'm gonna include whatever I think is interesting, but here's one thing that you don't see every day, okay? This is an actual moon rock, sample taken from the moon by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. This is the closest I've ever been to a piece of moon rock that I know of. And it's just incredible. Check it out. So this moon rock is on loan from NASA. It's lunar sample number 1002057. It weighs 136 grams, or about 4.5 ounces. Its mineral makeup is proxene, 49%. Never heard of that. Plagioclase, 26%. Never heard of that. Limonite, 17%. Olivine, glass, silica, sulfides, 8%. Its approximate age is 3.84 billion years old. How do they know this? I don't know. Carbon dating, and this is what geologists do. So anyways, check this thing out. So this right here is a mock-up lunar module ascent stage. And while this never flew, this was used for training. And I can tell you just by looking at the construction that this is all real. Let me show you what I'm looking at. So all this structure is all standard aerospace technology. Looking at these fasteners, these rivets, all these high locks, this is the same stuff that we used on all the rockets that we built. All these structural pieces, machined aluminum, stamped pieces, all this stuff is highly specific aerospace type engineering. So everything you see here is not just a mock-up for a museum. This is all the exact same technology that they used for their flight hardware. And while it might have been painted just for a museum, you can look at the construction here and tell exactly what kind of engineering was used on this whole thing. Now what we're looking at here is an Apollo lunar module. Now this never flew, obviously, because any of them that did stayed on the moon. But this one right here was built by Grumman Corporation for NBC television and was used by Frank McGee and his news team as a demonstration during the televised viewing of Apollo lunar missions. It was also used as a prop in the movie Magnificent Desolation, which I haven't seen, but this is a full-size mock-up built by Grumman, the actual company that built these for the moon missions. So, pretty neat piece of history here.